you put a lot of miles on your body, but the load management was not created by the players. Hear me out. Load management was not created by the players. It was created by teams, training staff, and even some coaches. We'll give Greg Popovich some of this credit. They are giving players days off, time off that truly isn't needed, and it allows them to decondition themselves.
There is real medical data and scientific data about what's appropriate. And sometimes, to me, the premise of a question as to whether players are playing enough suggests that they should be playing more. That, in essence, there should be some notion of just get out there and play. These are human beings who are often playing through enormous pain, all kinds of aches and pains on a regular basis.
The NBA has sent a message to their fans that the regular season isn't as important as it used to be. And if you keep telling your fans over and over, they're going to believe you. And when the star player misses 40, 50, 60 games, that's devastating not only to the fans who are showing up on an average Tuesday to see the Kings Bulls, but that's damaging to everybody, to your media partners, to your season ticket holders. And so the teams are trying to use some science to figure out how to prevent these star player injuries, and it's not happening. They care more about quantity than quality. This is not something that you'll hear Adam Silver ever say. If you're going to give them the choice between number and quality, they're going to take number first. The only thing he's done to the schedule since he's become commissioner is add games with the play-in tournaments.
But the only reason I think it's a major problem for the NBA is because the NBA is a league that markets its stars. Injuries are legit. When we think about load management, we think about Kawhi Leonard. When we think about load management, we've thought about the Anthony Davises. We're looking at a Zion Williamson, a Joel Embiid, people like that. All of those guys have legitimate injuries. They're not faking it. They're injured. They're actually hurt. That's why they're out. Guys are signing big-time contracts and literally managing themselves for their next contract. You're sitting on the bench, you're walking around, you're laughing, you're good, but for some reason, you can't be on the court. You look at today's NBA player, and there just seems to be a comfort level with missing games that did not once exist.
The poor people of Cleveland, Ohio, who missed out on Luka, Steph, and Kawhi this year.
Just like right in a row.
Let's get a 3-game package of tickets there. This guy is coming back from an ACL injury a year ago. God bless Anthony Edwards. Maybe it's because he's 21 and he's just,
doesn't know any better.
Doesn't know any better.
80%, you got to play. I don't like all the sitting, missing games and stuff. Like, these people might have enough money to come to one game, you know what I'm saying? And that might be the game they come to, and then you sitting out, you know what I'm saying? So I take pride in trying to play every game because I don't know, it might be one fan that has never seen me play, and I'm trying to play, so.
That the owners are not going to just say it's okay for us to have an 82-game schedule, but our players are each going to play a maximum of 70 games. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Andrew Wiggins all didn't play. Now, as it turns out, neither did Donovan Mitchell for Cleveland, so he's hurt. So if there are 7 players, 8 players in that game you're excited to see, 5 of them didn't play. Mostly games missed are a strategically planned act. They have decided ahead of time, we're going to miss this number of games at this time and this time and this time.
I have no problem with guys that are injured, missing time. That's part of it. But I think some of the sports and science teams out there like to sit guys out because they just want to validate their jobs. If you don't condition yourself to run a marathon, it becomes very, very hard to run a marathon. There are players that are actively deconditioning themselves, making it harder to do 82 games.
If your consumers in any business are screaming, hey, we have a problem with the product right now, you need to listen. I don't have a solution. I would like to explain some of this. The teams are doing everything they can to protect players and protect their investment so that players are at their peak and healthy come playoffs. The game has changed. I prided myself on being available. It became harder and harder to play through an injury as my career progressed. Pace is up over the 90s, a lot, not the 80s, but a lot over the 90s. The space that you have to cover as a player is up. So you have a nagging hamstring injury, you have a nagging calf injury. Yeah, you're going to manage that a little bit differently in 2022, 2023.
Guys today, when it comes down to their mental toughness, are softer than funeral home music. It's starting to get beyond disrespectful, not only to the fan base that's out there, but it's starting to get disrespectful to the guys that paved the way for guys today to be getting paid $35 to $50 million a year. Those guys were available. Those guys showed up to work. Michael Jordan showed up to work. The players and the organization, to a standpoint, is doing a disservice to the next generation that's coming up. Because what's going to happen is when they get to the CBA, you know they're going to come up with a Ben Simmons rule. They're going to come up with a James Harden rule. They're going to come up with a Kyrie Irving rule, a Kevin Durant rule. You signed up to get paid top dollar and to play the game of basketball and to be available.
I mean, you brought up Jordan and his 6 championships. If you're talking about load management, you have to point out the fact that he took 2 years off from basketball in the middle.
Oh my
like
God.
Comparing people to Michael Jordan and in load management conversation seems a bit unfair.
You were in New Orleans, and it was a bad game, and y'all were getting annihilated. And you were laying on the court, and you looked furious. The point is you cared. When we looked at Michael Irvin, when he was playing on the football field, he was winning championships in Dallas. He was standing away from his teammates when Dallas was sticking up the joint, and he was at Veterans Stadium, and he literally had tears streaming down his face. When you see people, and they care, and you know and you can identify with their passion, that matters. And when you see something different from that, you notice it.
Part of being a great player, you got to go out to play through your bumps and bruises. If you can't say the players, it's too many games, all these medical issues, well, then play less games. Well, we can't do that because you're going to lose money. The poor fan who buys the ticket when the Lakers visit your city for the only time of the year, begging that Anthony Davis and LeBron can play, do they get a discount?
And when I tell you that there was one trainer, there wasn't a traveling masseuse, there wasn't game readies, there weren't all of the amenities. You didn't have cold tubs, you didn't have hot tubs. We have now teams that are paying millions of dollars to sports science. I didn't come from very much. And for Christmas, my parents got me a ticket to go watch the San Antonio Spurs because David Robinson was my favorite player. One ticket. My dad, who worked security and scrubbed floors and did all this stuff, he dropped me off at the game, gave me $5, and I sat in there. My dad went to a bar and watched the game and then came back and picked me up when the game was over. So it's like every day that I stepped on the floor, I remember my father.
Yeah.
I remember having one ticket. If David Robinson wouldn't have played in that game, like, I get emotional thinking about it. We can't just gloss over this. And I blame the teams, I blame the training staffs, because the players in this generation are doing more of what they are told than going out there and leaving it all out on the floor.
If you know that 19,000 people came to an arena to see you, it might help if you wasn't sitting on a bench in street clothes with a smile on your face, walking and jumping around like there was nothing wrong with you. There are times where they give you the impression, so what? Get over it. So what? You paid your money.
Let's drop it down to 70 games. Let's cancel back-to-backs.
I don't mind the season being dropped to 70
I'm
to
with you
72
on that.
games.
Yeah.
That doesn't bother me at all. But how much you want to make a bet? I'm willing to bet my check that it could be 72 games and you still going to have cats that take nights off.